Dan the Wheelman here. For 2021, Mazda's big selling, popular, and really quite good Mazda 3 Compact is getting turbocharged. And not only is it getting turbocharged, it's getting both turbocharging and all-wheel drive. We've seen the all-wheel drive before, but we've never seen the two in conjunction. And we have seen a turbocharged Mazda 3 before, though, that being the Mazdaspeed3 back in 2013 was the last year of that vehicle, hence the jacket right here. So this one is available in both sedan and sport or hatchback form. The turbo version comes in 3 different trims. You've got the GT, you've got the GT Premium, and you've got the 100th anniversary, all with various features. And so we're going to take a drive today in and around Vancouver to see what this new turbocharged all-wheel drive compact Mazda 3, this is the sedan, is all about. So because the turbo model I'm driving today does start life as a GT, which is the top trim of the Mazda 3, there's all sorts of great features in here. I've got 12-speaker Bose audio in here, power moonroof, I've got leather seating, heated wheel, navigation, traffic sign recognition. Because this is actually the premium version of the Mazda 3 Turbo GT, I also get a 360-degree camera, which if I put in reverse, you can see it there. There you go. So you've got the full around view monitor there, which is great. Actually, I can't say around view monitor. That's a Nissan thing, right? And frameless auto dimming mirror, auto dimming exterior lights, and I've also got tilt down mirrors when you activate reverse, which is like one of my favorite features in cars today, and one that I think should be in all cars if possible. And I really like this one because this car looks great on the outside. You would have seen it in the clips before. Those black wheels are exclusive to the turbo version. It's got those great exhaust outlets. It's got black mirror caps on it. That's another exclusive for this vehicle. And of course the turbo badging on the rear deck and stuff as well. So this is a great, well-featured vehicle, and because it's a high trim of a manufacturer that doesn't have a luxury division, it's really, really nice in here. Nice materials through here. How I feel about this bright color is I'm not really sure about. I worry a little bit about what would happen if you were to sit in with wet denim, for example, which tends to leave some staining anyway. But this is great, well put together, well fastened together. I love how slim and easy to read and navigate the center console. Is not busy at all. Mazda 3 is one of the only Mazda models, along with the CX-30 currently, that uses the new infotainment system from Mazda, as you can see here. It's a little monochromatic. It's not as bright and flashy as some of the stuff in the competition is, but it kind of does well to fit in with kind of the black tie ambiance that we have here in the top trim of the Mazda 3. So really, really nice in here. Seating position is good. The seats are comfortable. We'll have a look at the back seats in a sec. I'm not expecting a huge amount from them. This is a compact sedan after all. But we'll have a look down in a sec. But it's really nice up here. Really driver-centric interior, and really, really simple and easy to navigate to. And all the controls are, when you inputs are met with really great response from the knobs and the buttons. It feels really, really high quality. So Mazda has done a great job with the interior of the Mazda 3 Turbo. That's for sure. Stepping into the back seat, indeed, pretty much as expected. It is pretty cramped back here for me. Of course, this seat is always as fit for my frame, which is 6'3", so it's quite far back. Shorter drivers would leave a little more room in the back seat here, but I don't know how much that would do about headroom. Of course, this seat is not height adjustable. It's quite tight back here. You'll definitely have more room in a Honda Civic. Then again, I think the Honda Civic has more room than pretty much any of the competition. I'm not exactly sure on that, but it's up there. So pretty cram. I'm going to bother trying to do the build test here because I can't even really move my head up. So it is snug in here. I guess if I were to slouch a little bit, I'd have a little more space. But I did have my 3-year-old forward-facing child seat in here, and that worked out okay. So that's all right. Yeah, not a super roomy back seat. But again, this is a compact sedan. I don't think many compact sedan drivers need to be hauling around adults in the back seat all that much. And of course, the rear seats do fold down, although you have to go to the trunk in order to do it. And I'll do that right now if you'll just bear with me. So you pull a release in the trunk, seat comes down, not quite all the way because again, this is fit for a taller driver. If I were to bring that forward a bit, you'd see the seat come down. And there you have it. So fold flat, so you're gonna get hockey sticks in here and stuff. You'll be able to do that. Wouldn't be too concerned about that. But of course, if practicality is what you're after, then maybe the hatchback version is the better choice. More room in the back for storing your stuff. You don't have to. You might not have to tilt down the rear seats as much in the hatch as you would in the sedan. So there you go. So I guess you might say I'm being a little bit ironic with my choice of garb today. As you can see, I've got the red Hiroshima Carp hat on. That makes perfect sense. Mazda's from Hiroshima, and so are the Carp. They play in the Japanese Professional Baseball League. Japanese take their baseball pretty seriously. If you'll remember, there's been many of Japanese, I guess, expats that have played pro at the Major League Baseball level in North America as well. So they take their ball seriously down there, and the Hiroshima Carp are a pretty good team. Anyway, and they're partially or maybe even fully owned by Mazda too, so there's that. But I've also got the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and if you can see there as I move my seatbelt, Mazdaspeed jacket on as well, and my poppy, because this is November unless we forget, right? But Mazda I shouldn't be wearing this jacket according to Mazda because they are adamant that this is not a Mazdaspeed3. All-wheel drive, 300 plus torques, 250 horsepower, all that notwithstanding, this is not a Mazdaspeed3. The Mazdaspeed3, according to Mazda, is it's more manic. It's manual transmission only. It's peaky. It's got torque steer. At least it did when I drove it. It's a more manic kind of crazy car, going after stuff like the Honda Civic Si or the VW GTI Golf R or even the Honda Civic Type R, which is kind of a tough comparison because there was no Type R in North America back when the Mazda 3 existed. But you could also, I guess you could say the Ford Focus ST as well. So it's kind of going after these crazy youth-oriented hot hatches the Mazdaspeed was. This does not have the Honda Civic Si or even the Golf R, even though both of these have all-wheel drive, turbocharged engines, and that kind of power. This actually is aimed, according to Mazda, at vehicles like the Audi S3, the Mercedes CLA 45 or 35, or the A35. These are luxury vehicles. That's what this vehicle is aimed at. Mazda doesn't have a luxury lineup before. We discussed this in my CX-5 100th anniversary video, which you can see the link to right here on the screen. Mazda doesn't have a luxury line like Acura does, or like Honda does with Acura, or like Toyota does with Lexus. They need their luxury model, their top trims of their regular models, to kind of try to take some sales away from the other guys' luxury cars. So, this is the Mazda 3 GT, which is the top trim of the Mazda 3. There's also the 100th anniversary and stuff on top of that, but at the base, the GT is the top trim. So this is aimed at those German luxury manufacturers and even the Japanese luxury manufacturers. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, but I don't think there's really any Japanese manufacturer this side of, I guess, Subaru with the WRX that makes a all-wheel drive sedan or compact sedan that has as much performance as this does. And this goes about its business in a much more refined manner than the WRX. It's kind of a different animal. The Germans don't have any, really. I mean, again, non-luxury brands. VW doesn't have any all-wheel drive sedans that have this much power. So that makes this Mazda 3 Turbo very unique when it comes to, I'm sure the sedan anyway, very unique when it comes to the power it has and the all-wheel drive it gets as well. So what does that mean then if Mazda isn't aiming at the firecrackers from Honda or VW with this car? what have they done to kind of change that outlook? Well, for one, automatic transmission only. It's your only choice. It's a 6-speed auto, paddle shifters, no problem, but you don't get a manual here, which is obviously a direct affront, if you want to say that, to what a Mazdaspeed3 fan might be looking for. They were available only with a manual transmission, so the opposite of this. So automatic only, and the engine has a high compression ratio. I believe it's 10.5 to 1 or something like that, but it'll come up on there in just a second. But they've also tuned the engine to, a lot of times with high compression ratios, you can risk knocking and all that kind of stuff. So they've tuned the engine to not be as susceptible to that kind of stuff. So it's a very smooth, very linear power delivery as we're on the highway here, and I just put my foot down. It's just kicks down a couple gears. I have it in auto mode right now, and it just kind of spirits you down there. So a much more laid back engine, but it sounds, if you listen, here we go. It sounds a little sportier than they might be trying to let on that it is, but at any rate, so it's a smoother power delivery. And then you've got Mazda's Jimba Itai, kind of, they call it their mantra, I guess, is one of the words I believe they used to call it that. And that's man and machine kind of together as one. I think the actual direct translation is man and horse together as one, but anyway, man and machine together as one. And so what they've done is they've actually studied what the human body does when driving, and they've modeled the car around that. So it's not like they've taken the car and said, well, we want to make sure we keep the body neutral during this kind of thing. We want to make sure it only, acts this way in sport mode and so on. They've taken what the human body does, the way it moves through turns, what the body what the body subconsciously does as it prepares to enter a turn. So tenses up to prepare for the G's and so on, which apparently I do without knowing it, I guess. Any driver does. They've taken all that into account to kind of make the drive as smooth and comfortable as possible. They call it, I think it's reduced jerk theory. Not the guy who cuts in front of you at the store, not the kind of spice you rub on a chicken at a Jamaican restaurant. Jerk as in movement, as smooth a movement as possible. They've tried to kind of humanize the car a little bit, crazy as it sounds, to make it feel more natural to drive and more comfortable. And I gotta say, this is a really comfortable drive. It's not quite as quiet as I thought it might be after hearing the Mazda's presentation about this vehicle yesterday, or just a day before shooting this, I should say. So it's a little louder. You got some road noise. I mentioned the engine note before, but it's a little more solid feeling. It's a little more controlled in its movements. It also has G vectoring control. This is something Mazda's been doing on their vehicles since 2016, 2017, thereabouts. I believe it got its debut on the Mazda3 midsize sedan. What it does is, unlike normal torque vectoring, which will move the power between the wheels to help with turn-in, what this does is, as soon as G vectoring control senses some steering input, it takes actually away a little bit of power, which actually forces the car forward a little bit, weight transfer wise, more down onto the front wheels, pushing the front wheels further onto the tarmac. And what that does is that increases the size of your tire's contact patch, because you've got more rubber pushing down the road, so you get better grip on turn-in. It's done so minutely, you shouldn't even really be able to feel the power transfer happening. You should only be able to sense how quick the turn-in is. And we'll be taking this on some windier roads later on, and we'll put that more to the test. But it's just another way of making sure that this Mazda 3 is a very comfortable, neutral feeling and predictable vehicle when it comes to its on-road dynamics. Coming up on some turns now here. So I've activated sport mode. Sport mode in the Mazda 3 AWD turbo, it doesn't just modify the things that these kind of sport modes had to modify, throttle input, how long the transmission holds onto gears and so on. This will actually also modify that G vectoring system we talked about to give you even more performance. So it's kind of like an added layer of of what this Mazda 3 can offer in terms of handling. So I've got it in manual mode, so be shifting with the paddle shifters here. It is responsive on turn. It does allow power to be shuffled front to back, and when you activate sport mode again, what it will do is it will send a little more power to the rear wheels, so you get a more rear wheel drive like feel as we push it through these bends here. The one thing which I'm kind of surprised to be saying this is, while the steering weight is actually really, really good, I love how much heft there is when I turn the wheel. There isn't a lot of feel through here. You know, obviously it's an electronic power steering setup. Almost everything is these days. You don't get a lot of feel through that wheel. It's a little woolen, which kind of surprised me considering what this Mazda 3 is all about, and also considering how the steering has been on other Mazdas I've recently driven, including the CX-5, the 2021 CX-5 recently as well. So a little bit down on feel, but man, you just have to trust it because turn in is real good. It tracks well, the nose responds to your inputs, and that G vectoring control really does keep the body kind of in check as you move through, and it gives you that much more grip as you're pulling through these turns here, which is more than that's all you can ask for really when it comes to these technologies made to give you more grip. And if it does that, that's the goal, and that's fantastic. Handling is one thing, but man, this power is good. It just seems to have this deep chested well of torque that just really fires you down this road at really, really quick speeds. Great response, very little turbo lag. They've eliminated a lot of that by giving it such a high compression ratio and by tuning the transmission and engine as they have. And this is a fast car. I mean, when you've got the same amount of power here as you do in bigger vehicles like the CX-5 or even the CX-9 3-row SUV, you know you're going to be in a bit of a road rocket, and this thing is an absolute road rocket. Holy moly. I guess I raised my eyebrows a bit when they said, no, we're going after AMG Mercedes and, you know, Audi S4s and things like that, or S3s, but I don't know, man. It's hard for me to call it right now. Like, this has when it comes to power, it's got all that and more. And that sound, just have a listen here. Like, that is a sweet sounding thing. It's like a cross between a WRX flat 4 Burble and the Golf R through its quad tailpipes. That's the best way I can describe it. Either way, it's awesome sounding. That's a performance exhaust sound. That being said, though, I kind of feel like they missed the opportunity here. I can't get out of my mind that they missed the opportunity to kind of a rebirth to the Mazdaspeed brand. I love that brand. Engineers that work with Mazdaspeed, they've worked on MX-5 Miatas. I believe some of them even worked on the 787 Le Mans racer, Le Mans winner, actually. Like, that's kind of where they draw a lot of inspiration from for that Mazdaspeed brand, and it's sort of been such a great opportunity for them to rebirth it. I would have loved to have seen that. Got the jacket and all to prove it. What they'll tell you, though, Mazda, is that's not right to call this a Mazdaspeed, and the worry is that Mazdaspeed fans, those of old, those who've been waiting with bated breath for the new 3 or the Mazdaspeed3, would be disappointed with this because it's not quite as out there as they'd expect. But then again, what's in the name, right? The bottom line is this is a really fun car. It's a fun car. It's a fast car. It handles well. It looks great. It's got room inside, and you know, name badge or what, you know, get yourself an aftermarket Mazdaspeed name badge and slap it on the back of this thing, and Bob's your uncle, right? So, actually, Bob's my dad, but anyway, that's a story for another day. So, fun car, well-equipped. The word of the day, though, when it comes to the new Mazda 3 GT Turbo is refinement. It rides so well. It's quiet. The wind, there's very little wind noise, very little road noise. Yes, the exhaust is a little unruly. I like that. Some might not, but there you have it. All the panel gaps are so tight. The materials used in here are nice. The doors close with a satisfying thunk. Even the blind spot warning system. Which usually is a very shrill, kind of harsh tone in vehicles, is kind of like a chime in this one. We'll have a listen here in just a second. beautiful. It sings to me, and be careful, Dan. Be careful, Dan. Don't change lanes here. It's excellent. And it really does speak to what Mazda was saying about the Mazda 3 in turbo form, really targeting luxury manufacturers and the subcompact sedans and hatches that they make. And that is a win for Mazda when it comes to the how refined this 3 is. That is a definite win for them. Man, that's a fun car. That's a really fun car. Holy. Can't wait to try the hatchback version too, which I'll try later this year, hopefully. This is the sedan, but it's great. That's great. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. If not, no hard feelings. You'll be able to see this, the full story and more pics of this vehicle on auto123.com soon, if not already. And follow me on Twitter at Dan the Wheelman and on Instagram at Dan the Wheelman as well. So thanks for tuning into this video. And until next time, sayonara, folks.